All right, what's going on, guys? The beta is officially over. We got about a month and a half now before the real game comes out. So hopefully they can make some upgrades and some changes to the actual game. I don't know. We'll have to see. But it is time for my official in-depth review. I'm a little bit late because I had a lot to say, so I wanted to make sure I organized all my thoughts properly. This year, I would say I played about 50 hours or so between the two weekends, probably like 30 weekend one. Weekend one got extended a little bit. It went all the way to like Wednesday, I believe. So probably a little bit over 30 weekend one and about probably another 20 or so weekend number two. So definitely enough to give you guys a good review on everything. As always, I'm going to start with some of the more general stuff and then get into like a more detailed breakdown of each individual element afterwards. So let's start with just kind of some general stuff. The game gives off some very serious Cold War vibes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for you. Personally, I enjoyed Cold War. I played that game a lot. So I like that about this game. And I do want to say this at the beginning of this review. I do enjoy this game. I like this game. I'm having fun on this game. But it's a beta, and I pretty much have fun and enjoy every single COD when it first comes out, you know what I mean? The real question with Call of Duty these days is how much longevity this game will have like 6 months from now. Like, will I still be playing this game next year in like July? But as of right now, I think the game has some potential. It's not perfect by any means. I definitely do have some concerns with it that we're going to talk about in this video, but I certainly wouldn't say that this game is trash or anything like that. So yeah, if I had to kind of just describe this game, I would say it's like Cold War with tac sprint and extreme advanced movement. I personally do like the movement, you know what I mean? And I'm old too, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not really a movement guy, but I like it. It feels good. It feels smooth. It's not too crazy. You might think, if you haven't played it, that it seems like overwhelming, all the different stuff that they show you can do. But most of that stuff really doesn't get used. I think in this game, it's really about the sliding and the omni movement. The diving is really not that good for actual gunfights. I think it could definitely be very useful for getting around the maps. Like, if someone's shooting at you and you can dive away, like, that's always like very useful. But I really don't think the diving should be used in actual gunfights, except for very like specific situations. Like, it's a very situational tactic. Like, you kind of pull out the diving as like a last resort type of thing. But for the most part, I think the sliding, and especially the directional sliding, is going to be very key. Like, I think you really need to try to master the sideways movement and the sideways slides and the backwards slides and the backwards movement. I feel like 6 months from now, or maybe even sooner than that, I think people are really going to like master the movement, and you're going to see some really like crazy like sliding and stuff, slide canceling and just different directions and all sorts of stuff like that. And then of course you throw the dive in here and there whenever you need it. I also do want to put in a disclaimer that like that's just kind of my prediction and how I feel right now, and even from like watching some other very good people play the game, you don't really dive that often. But you know, 6 months from now, who knows what the movement is going to look like. When the game comes out, there might be like a way to exploit the movement and make it broken in a certain way that people figure out, or you know what I mean, people might start chaining together different combos. Like 6 months from now, the movement like might look crazy. It might look nothing like how it is right now, just because it's so creative in this game and you could do so much different stuff. We haven't mastered it, you know what I mean? Like, we've only had a couple days with it, you know what I mean? I'd like to see what people can do after they've played it for a couple months. So we'll see what happens, but overall, I'm pretty satisfied with it. And like I said, I'm old. I'm not really a movement guy, but actually, I will say the one small complaint, very small complaint I have about the movement, I don't like the automatic lean feature. I would just like to turn that off. Listen, if I want to lean, I will lean. There's a button you can push to lean. I would do that myself. I don't really like that it's like forcing me to lean in situations where I don't really want to. Maybe that's just me. Maybe you guys don't mind it. I don't know. That's just something that I noticed. Next, we can talk about the time to kill. So Treyarch themselves said that the time to kill is slightly lower than Cold War, which does feel like an accurate description of what it feels like from playing. Here is kind of an old chart, but pretty relevant chart from Exclusive Ace. It kind of just shows a comparison of time to kill in a lot of different CODs. So I don't know exactly where Black Ops 6 would fall on this chart, but based on their description, it's probably somewhere towards the higher end of time to kill. but not quite the highest, of course. I don't know how it would compare to Vanguard. Like, that seems kind of like the range of where it would be. But I think the time to kill is fine where it is. It's always a heavily debated topic, you know what I mean? It's kind of sensitive. Like, you don't want it to be too fast. You also don't want it to be too slow. I think it's okay where it is. It's kind of in a good middle ground. I think it might even be slightly faster on the real game because we are playing a beta. The real game should be a little bit more polished. I will say pretty much every single game that I played on this beta, I played on the same server. I was on pretty much 30 to 40 ping every single game that I played, and I'm pretty sure it was putting me on the East server. I don't know what server, either probably New York or Atlanta. I don't know which one they activated for the beta, but obviously they didn't have all the servers active for the beta that they will have in the real game. So, I mean, you know, I was playing on 30 to 40 ping. That's not like terrible by any means, but I know when the real game comes out, I will be playing on servers closer to me. So I'm assuming the time to kill might feel even a little bit smoother or a little bit faster when the real game comes out and you can play on like better connection. Next, let's talk about the aim assist. It is confirmed that aim assist is lower in this game. I believe the actual statistic is from about 0 to 3 meters, you get 0 aim assist at all. So pretty much all very like super close range gunfights is purely your gun skill and your movement, which I think that's pretty good, right? I like that. But even beyond like very close range gunfights, the aim assist is definitely toned down, and you can definitely notice that. Like if you've played a lot of MW3 and then you played this beta, it's pretty noticeable how much more aim assist MW3 has. And I think that's a good thing. And I'm sure all the mouse and keyboard people are happy because, you know, they've always been saying the aim assist is like super OP or whatever. Now, at least from 0 to 3 meters, it is a completely even playing field for everybody. And beyond that, it's at least toned down for controller. So I'm definitely happy about the reduced aim assist, you know what I mean? Because I've been playing Call of Duty for so long, from the beginning basically. Back in the day, I know this is going to sound crazy, but back in the day, not everyone could shoot perfectly straight like it is now, you know what I mean? But over like the last, I don't know, around 5 years or so, aim assist has gotten a lot better. The technology has gotten a lot better as well. I think that's part of it. Like, you know, you can't compare playing on like Xbox 360 with like trash technology compared to everyone's on like PC now and everything. Anytime you play this game now, everyone has like crazy gun skill, and part of that is because the aim assist is so high. So I'm happy about this change. I think all good players should be happy about this change. I feel like this game really gives you an opportunity to outgun people, and especially when you combine that with the movement, I think there's an actual skill gap in gunfights in this game. You know what I mean? Like it feels like you can outgun people. So I like that aspect of this game. Now, the next thing, this is one of the biggest issues probably in the game, I would say. The spawns. I'm pretty sure I'm using Babylon gameplay in this video, so you have already seen, or you are going to see, how terrible the spawns are in this game. Now, I will put a disclaimer that yes, Babylon does have way worse spawns than any other map, but just in general, the spawn system in this game is not good, and I don't really know why, because Treyarch usually has a decent spawn system. They don't copy the squad spawns from Modern Warfare 2019 or anything like that. Black Ops 2, I would say, is probably the best, most logical spawn system that we've ever had in Call of Duty. Like, that game actually made sense. So I don't really know what the hell is going on with this game and why the spawns are so terrible and weird. It kind of has the revenge spawn system that MW2 had, if you guys remember that from a couple years ago. Definitely not as extreme as that game. That game was absurd, but it has a little bit of that mixed into this game that I can feel, and I know, like, a lot of times when I kill somebody, they're spawning very close to me to come get that revenge kill, and that's kind of a weird thing to implement. I think that's part of skill-based matchmaking as well, but that's a different topic. We're going to get to that topic in a second. But mainly, what I think is wrong with this game is your presence isn't really felt on the map. Like, your presence doesn't really block enemy spawns. A lot of times, you will spawn very close to enemies, shoot them in the back, shoot them in the side, catch them off guard, whatever. And a lot of times, that goes against you. And enemies will spawn very close to you, and they'll shoot you in the back, or they'll just catch you off guard because you would never think someone would spawn right there if you're standing there, you know what I mean? So sometimes it works in your favor, sometimes it works against you. You will especially see it in this Babylon gameplay. I don't know what point we're at in the gameplay right now, but in this video you will see Babylon domination gameplay, and I pretty much go stand on the A point, and it's in like a little building, and they just spawn right in front of me as if I'm not there at all, which is very weird to have that happen in domination. In a game mode with fixed spawns, like let's say demolition or control, that happens because you can't spawn out in a game mode like that. You have to spawn on a certain side of the map because you're either defending or attacking. Like that's just how the game mode works. Like there's nothing you can do about it. But in other game modes like domination, hardpoint, TDM, anything like that, that really shouldn't happen that strong. You know what I mean? Like the spawn should get influenced by you being there. It just seems like in this game, they're not really influenced. And what that does is just kind of create a lot of randomness and makes things very chaotic, which maybe that's by design, maybe that's what they want with the game. But from like a competitive standpoint and from like a skill gap standpoint, that definitely is not good. I definitely feel like there should be a knowledge skill gap in Call of Duty. I think it's something that they're going to work on. They have talked about it at least. I'm not saying they're going to fix it. In fact, if I had to make a prediction, they probably won't 100% fix it, but I'm thinking they will at least try to make it better, and they'll work on it, you know what I mean? I do think that will happen, so we'll see how much progress they can make on it. Now, just a couple smaller general gameplay things. Let me talk about skill-based matchmaking just very quickly. Listen, I don't know why we're still talking about this in 2024, but let me just get this out very quick. Yes, this game has very strong skill-based matchmaking. At this point in Call of Duty, we know that skill-based matchmaking isn't going anywhere. So you have three options. Option number one, you deal with it and play the game. Option number two, you manipulate it. Or option number three, you just don't play the game anymore if it bothers you that much. Sitting here and crying about it and complaining about it is just pointless at this point. It's not going anywhere. And even now, I would say they're more open about it. You know what I mean? There was a long time when they wouldn't even talk about it. They wouldn't even address it. But they pretty much admitted to it within the last year or two. They published those papers. We've seen their research behind skill-based matchmaking. They're being very open about it. They said that, they have done the research and skill-based matchmaking keeps player retention high. It makes people play the game more because, they're not getting shit on and getting off the game or whatever. And the more players they keep on the game means the more money that people are spending on the game. So I'm telling you right now, if anyone needs to hear this and they haven't accepted this already, skill-based matchmaking is not going anywhere. I'm not going to sit here and complain about it for 10 minutes or cry every year. Like at this point, they've made it very clear what the situation is. So aside from that, something I do want to cry about, and it's actually really pissing me off about this game, is fucking packet burst, man. Literally like every minute of every game I play, I get a packet burst and I get like a little lag, and it's just absurd. And it almost always feels like it happens when I'm in a gunfight, which I don't know if that's a coincidence or that's part of the reason of it happening. And I'm pretty sure we have figured out that the reason it's happening so much in this beta is because they are forcing you to turn on the on-demand texture streaming. I don't know why they changed that setting. You were allowed to turn it off for years. I'm not 100% sure, but what people have kind of figured out is that's the reason why you lag. So let's go ahead and change that setting back. Let us all turn that shit off and we can stop getting packet burst. All right, that's all I wanted to say. And then another small thing I did want to say, maybe some of you noticed this as well. I don't know if I didn't really pay attention to too many people talking about this, but it's definitely a thing. Maybe PC only. I'm not sure if it's on console as well. But you can kind of see people through walls in this game. I'm not talking about the perk. We'll talk about that later. I'm talking about it's like a glitch texture. And it's only in certain instances, in certain scenarios. It's not like all the time. But sometimes you can see like the textures of a person behind a wall. It's not like an outline of the player model. Like you don't see like a guy standing there. You just see like a little like dark like blur, like some shadows. And then let's say that person's behind the wall and they walk around the corner, you can see the shadow about to walk around the corner. It's very weird. I don't know if any of you have noticed that. It's very minor, but it is something that I noticed, and it does happen a decent amount. So I definitely think that's something that needs to get addressed because it's almost like having wall hacks, you know what I mean? Not quite, but it's definitely an advantage in the game when you can see that. So definitely something that needs to get addressed. Also, another very small thing, but something I would like to mention. They removed the post-game voice chat. You can't speak to the enemies after the game. I don't know why. I don't even know if they did that on purpose. I really hope it's not because they're so soft that they don't want you talking shit to each other after the game. That's half the fun of playing pubs, you know what I mean? You get into a lobby with some people, you talking shit before the game, you play each other, and now it's your time to say something after the game. You know what I mean? You got to let them know what's going on. Like, I don't know why we're not allowed to talk to people after the game. Like, that's crazy. So I'm not sure if that's on accident or on purpose, but you definitely cannot talk to people after the game, which I thought was pretty pathetic, and that definitely needs to be changed if it was done on purpose. So now it's time for the more detailed breakdown. All right, I'm gonna start with the maps because I think as of right now, that is the most important aspect of this game that we need to talk about. First of all, Treyarch has confirmed that there won't be any big maps in this game, and they said that the majority of maps in this game will be medium-sized, and the example that they gave was Raid or Summit, which I'm sure everyone has played, so you know what they mean by medium. And then they also put out a list of the maps that are going to be in this game, and you can see that they consider Skyline, Rewind, and Scud as medium-sized maps, and they consider Babylon and Derelict as small-sized maps. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what they consider small versus medium. And based on the list that they gave, there is still 2 more small maps that we haven't seen yet, and then a bunch more medium maps. Now, I don't hate the idea behind this, you know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to play, like, super big maps. If you remember, like, you know, Stonehaven from Ghost. Like, nobody wants to play shit like that. It's just dumb. But I also don't feel like, as long as they aren't, like, too big, it's okay to have, like, a couple, like, bigger maps, you know what I mean? As long as they're not, like, massive. You know, for example, like, something like Moscow from Cold War, like, that was a solid, like, bigger map. Not, like, too huge, but definitely not medium or small. Overall, I'm not upset about medium and small. Like, those are usually the better maps in Call of Duty. And as of right now, we've seen 5 of the maps. I'm not talking about any of, like, the really small, like, face-off maps or anything like that. That's just absolute chaos. Like, that's whatever. Honestly, those are good maps to rank up your guns. That's about it. But as far as the actual 6v6 maps, I'm really not very impressed right now with their maps. I guess Skyline is the best from like a fundamental, like balanced competitive point of view. I do enjoy playing on Babylon. I think it's very fun. You get a lot of kills. You get a lot of engagements. It's very entertaining. It's fun to play. It's a good map, I guess, in a different way. Babylon is a good map the same way, like, I think Shipment is a good map, or Nuketown. Like, it's fun or whatever, but like it's not necessarily like a fundamental map, you know what I mean? I wouldn't consider Shipment or Nuketown a good map in the same way I think Raid or Standoff is a good map, if that makes sense, you know what I mean? So I'm just a little bit concerned with the maps that we've seen so far. They can be fun, especially in pubs. I think they can be fun, but from what I've seen, the only map that even seems possible to use in like competitive or has any fundamentals to it is Skyline, and we are supposed to be getting remasters in this game. I'm not sure exactly which maps. I think it's supposed to be Yemen and WMD, and then of course Nuketown I'm pretty sure is in this game. But like Yemen and WMD, like those are decent choices, you know, we'll see how that is. But I would hope that the original maps that they made for this game can be good, you know what I mean? Because remasters don't always work out. You know, as we just saw with MW3, not all of the remastered MW2 maps play as well on MW3 because it's a completely different game, you know what I mean? There's a lot of maps that I think were good on the original MW2 that just don't play as well, you know what I mean, on MW3. So I'm just not really very happy with the maps right now. I'm not mad, I guess. Like, they're okay. They aren't awful, but they're just super average or mid maps right now. I really expect more out of the maps, you know what I mean? We'll see when the game drops. Hopefully they have some better stuff, but right now the maps are kind of a weak point in this game. Next, let's talk about weapons. So the Jackal got nerfed in weekend 2, and you could definitely notice it, especially at range. It got a lot weaker, but I think even after the nerf, it was still the best gun. I would just say the gap between the Jackal and all the other guns closed quite a bit, and some of them were a little bit more viable. Almost all the guns that we played with in this beta were in Cold War, which that's part of the reason why I say this game gives off Cold War vibes, you know what I mean? Because we got the 74U, the MP5, the Milano, the AK, the XM4, like those are all in Cold War, you know what I mean? And they were in this game, you know, they're just called something else, slightly, you know, reskinned or whatever. But it's kind of funny because the XM4 and the AK-74U, aka the Jackal, which were both at the beginning of Cold War like the most OP guns, I think they're also also the two best guns in this beta as well, so it's kind of crazy how that works out. But that being said, I still think the MP5 is very good in this game. The Tanto, whatever, I don't even know, the one that's like a Milano reskin, I think that gun's pretty solid. The fire rate on it is slow. If you miss a bullet, you're kind of in a really bad spot. You're probably gonna die. Like, you can't miss with that gun because your next bullet's not gonna come out for a minute, and like the person you're in a gunfight with, they're gonna probably get like 2 or 3 bullets out by the time you get another bullet out, you know what I mean? So if they miss, it's not as big of a deal as if you miss, you know what I mean, if that makes sense. But you know, it was a solid gun, a fun gun still. And then with ARs, I personally thought the XM4 was the best AR. I've seen a lot of love for the Ames. I thought the Ames was solid, but I just thought it was weaker than the XM4 from my experience. I did get a chance to try out the SWAT because they had double XP for weekend number 2. So I ranked up the SWAT. I tried it out. I just don't think it's that good, honestly. Like, it's not terrible, but it just didn't seem like it was powerful enough. You know what I mean? Like, when I use a burst gun, I want it to like feel like an OP, like really nice gun. Like, wow, like this gun's crazy. I didn't really get that feeling from it. It was okay, but it really didn't feel like nothing crazy. But really, there's not too much to say about weapons when it comes to COD, because like, as long as there's some sort of reasonable weapon balance and like it's not just one gun that's just taking over every other gun, which right now it kind of is the Jackal, but you know, they did nerf it, so I probably will get another nerf by the time the game comes out. But you know, when the game comes out, there might be another even more OP gun than the Jackal that we haven't seen yet, you know what I mean? But as long as like the guns are fairly balanced, guns are never really like a problem in Call of Duty. Like, there's always like some fun guns, some good guns to use. It's not really an issue. So there's not really much to say about the guns, but let's talk about the kill streaks, right? So we did get a chopper gunner in weekend number 2. This was important because I wanted to see how the higher end kill streaks were looking in this game. It's basically the Black Ops 1 chopper gunner. Like, it is very good. I will say the hit detection on it is kind of weird. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm aiming at the person, but I'm not getting any hit markers. I guess I'm a little bit off from where I should be aiming. I don't know. It looks like on my screen when I'm looking at it, it looks like I'm aiming at them, but I think you have to be like perfectly on top of them to actually kill them with the chopper gunner, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal. The chopper gunner is definitely map dependent because it takes like a guaranteed path around the map. I don't even think you can use it on Skyline the way they have it currently set up, because it's almost like parallel, eye level to the building. So you're like in the chopper gunner and you're like looking through the windows trying to like kill people. You're not really like above shooting down on the building. You're kind of like at the same level. So a lot of it gets blocked. It's not really worth using on that map. But on all the other maps, it's pretty good. One thing to keep in mind is the chopper gunner costs 1600 score in this game, which I think that's a reasonable cost for a kill streak like that. That makes sense to me. But what's weird is the lower kill streaks, right? Because the Hellstorm is 1200. So I think the Hellstorm is just overpriced. The chopper gunner is probably the right amount, but the Hellstorm being 1200 and the chopper gunner being 1600, like, doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean? Even the UAV itself is 675. So I think maybe the lower kill streaks are just a bit overpriced. It's not that big of a deal. I am a bit disappointed that kill streaks don't loop. They don't cycle. Like, you can't like keep going through them. That's always just a nice feature to have in Call of Duty. I don't know. For some reason, like, sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. I think their reasoning behind it is they don't want kill streak spam, but I don't know. Since the prices of the streaks are already kind of high, maybe there wouldn't be as much spam. I feel like once I get my last kill streak, there's almost like no incentive for me to stay alive. Like, I usually just go out there, run out there in the open and like die. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have the incentive to like keep going. Now, of course, there is a nuke in this game, so I guess that's kind of an incentive not to die. It's a 30 gun streak. I'm sure in this gameplay that I'm using, at some point I'm gonna get a nuke, so you can see what it looks like if you haven't seen it yet. I've got a few nukes. It's a 30 gun streak. It does end the game. I think a nuke is always just a nice bonus to have in any COD. Like, it's just always something a little extra to go for if you want to. If you don't want to go for it, not a big deal. I do like the actual animation itself of the nuke in this game. It might be the best nuke animation we've ever had in any COD. Like, I think it looks pretty good. So I do like that the nuke is in this game. They also added in air patrol from Cold War. They called it something else in this game. I think it's interceptors or something. I don't know. I didn't use it. Like, you know, people aren't usually calling in that many kill streaks against me, so I don't ever use that. But overall, overall, I'm pretty happy with the state of the kill streaks in this game. The good kill streaks, the higher kill streaks actually seem like they do reward you, so that's always a good feeling. And there's probably going to be a couple more good kill streaks in this game from what I can tell, you know what I mean? Because even the Hellstorm is pretty good. Even, you know, it's a 1200 kill streak. It's kind of high for a Hellstorm, but you can spread it out 4 times. Like, it's a pretty good Hellstorm, I would say that. Even the attack helicopter is decent. Like, it gets you some kills. It's not too bad. So I'm pretty happy with how effective the kill streaks are in this game. And now finally, let's wrap it up with the perks. So the perk system in this game is kind of interesting. I wouldn't say it's like specialist, but like it kind of is a little bit. There's 3 types of perks. There's red, blue, and green. And if you use 3 of the same perks, you get like kind of like a bonus 4th perk that has like a couple extra features on it. Like, I think triple red is probably the best bet. Triple blue is also very good in kind of a cringe, annoying way. Triple green, I don't know. I didn't really see too many people using that or any point of using that. Red is good because I think dexterity is a very good, almost borderline maybe must-use perk in this game. And you also get bankroll, which is kind of like hardline. You just get a little bit of extra score bonus. But the good thing about the triple red is you basically get quick fix, so you regen health faster after your kills, which I think is pretty useful in a fast-paced game like this. I think that helps a lot. So triple red is solid. Triple blue is useful because blue has ghost and ninja on it. But really, the weird thing about the triple blue is the bonus perk you get is you get high alert, and you also get like wall hacks. Pretty much every time you spawn with triple blue, for like 3 seconds, you will see every single enemy on the map through the wall. So if any of them are like close to you, it's basically a free kill because you know exactly where they are. I think it's pretty lame. It probably should be nerfed a little bit. Maybe only like 1 second, or like, I don't know. Maybe only enemies within a certain distance from you or something. I don't know. They got to nerf it a little bit because it's kind of OP. I just don't really agree with it being a thing. I personally pretty much stick with the triple red, but I definitely can see why people would want to use the all blue. I don't know if anyone wants to really use the triple green. The only good thing about green is it has flak jacket and tack mask, which is obviously useful, but the bonus you get for triple green, you get like extra score for doing OBJ work. It's not really worth it compared to the bonuses from the other ones, so I don't know. It's not really that good. I don't know what to say about Ninja in this game just yet. I think the game has to come out and some people are going to have to go to private match and actually test what is and isn't silent with Ninja. In my opinion, I have a suspicion that you're not going to be completely silent. I think it will be similar to Cold War, but at the very least, Ninja is a perk in this game, and they can make some adjustments to it if they need to. You know what I mean? The bottom line is we need to make sure it's an actual perk and not a field upgrade. You know what I mean? That's always terrible. So I think the perks are pretty interesting in this game. There might even be a couple more perks in the real game. There's a lot of combos, a lot of variety on what you can do, and then you obviously get the little bit of a bonus as well. You also have the gunfighters, which the ones we've had so far is Overkill, one that gives you a 4th perk, and one that gives you primary gunfighter on your gun. I only ever used Overkill or the extra perk. I don't know if you really need gunfighter on these guns because I felt like my guns were very good even with 5 attachments. Like, I don't really know if I want 8 attachments, you know what I mean? I'd rather have like 2 primaries, or I'd rather have like an extra perk. Like, I was running like triple red and just throwing on flak jacket so I didn't get naded as my, you know, extra perk, or I was just running Overkill and I have like an AR and like a jackal or a different sub as my backup. I thought that was pretty useful. I'd rather have either one of those 2 things than have like 3 extra attachments. Like, I didn't think it was that necessary. So that's what I thought about the perks. So that's kind of my like breakdown for this game. Let me go ahead and wrap things up here. I don't know how long it's been. I'm sure this is a long video, but you know, I got a lot to say, so I'm trying to get it all out there. I do like this game. Like I said in the beginning, I enjoy the movement. I think it's fun. I like getting in gunfights in this game. I like that there's some gun skill involved with the reduced aim assist and the movement and all that. Really, the only question mark I have for this game right now is the maps. And it's weird because Treyarch historically has done a very good job with maps. So I don't know what the hell happened with this game, but hopefully the actual game has some better maps. And I mean, I don't think these maps are terrible. Like, don't don't get me wrong. I don't know if that's how I came across. Like, I think they're just horrible. Like, I don't think any of these maps are like Piccadilly or anything like that, where it's just like, wow, this is dog shit. I'm gonna just leave the game. You know what I mean? I don't even want to play this. I don't feel that way about any of these maps, but I just don't really think that they're like good from a fundamental level. You know what I mean? Because I'm still having fun and I'm still enjoying the game and I'm liking the maps, but I can tell that like fundamentally they're just not that good. Like I said earlier, Nuketown and Raid can both be considered good maps, but they're considered good maps for two very different reasons. You know what I mean? So I want to see some more like fundamental, good, well-designed maps in this game. Not necessarily just like chaotic maps where you get a lot of kills, because obviously getting a lot of kills is fun. People want to do that, but I also want to have some strategy and some actual thinking put into the map as well. So when the real game drops, we'll see how the rest of the maps are looking. We're obviously going to get some remakes as well. It's going to be interesting, but overall, you know, would I recommend this game? Hopefully you tried it out in the second weekend. It was free for everyone, so I mean, you can make your own judgment. But if you didn't try out the game, I think if you're like a player that enjoys like movement and gun skill, I think you will enjoy that aspect of this game. If you liked Cold War, you'll probably like this game as well. Like, if you just like to get on the game and you enjoy like just rushing around with the SMG and just like challenge people and chaos, and it's not gonna get you upset when someone spawns behind you or something, I think you'll have fun with this game. You know, this game has a lot to offer you if you enjoy playing like that. Now, if you play a little bit slower and you actually like to use your brain a little bit, and if the game doing something stupid with the spawns is going to make you upset, maybe you won't like this game. It will probably piss you off because a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense. But you know, it just kind of depends on what you're looking for in a Call of Duty game. And that's obviously just on the beta. We might see better spawns, we might see better maps in the real game, but just based off what the beta has shown me, that's kind of the way I think about this game right now. So it just depends. We'll have to wait and see. We got about a month and a half. Of course, I'll do another full review when the game actually comes out, and maybe they'll make some changes by then. But other than that, you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, rating if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're not already, follow me on Twitter, links in the description down below. Check out my last video if you missed it. Other than that, have a good day and peace out.